already know what it is, John JT Miles and your boy Craig Mack. Crazy.
All right, guys, welcome to episode 2 of the Sarutobi Sports Pod. Got me, John. My man, just in transition himself, JT. And then we got,
man,
Worldwide West, aka his real name, Miles with the Z.
Yeah, that works too.
All right, and let's jump right into it. What is on the agenda tonight, guys?
All right, so first and foremost, on First Take this past Friday, Carmelo Anthony was interviewed by Stephen A. Smith, and you know, I'll just get right into it. I just think that Melo has been blackballed by the league.
I feel that from that thing. I get that.
But my problem with not even the interview itself, but just Melo not playing on the team, he put it perfectly. There's 30 teams in the NBA and 15 roster spots. Why, like, you telling me he can't be in somebody's rotation? Like, even though somebody that's not a contender, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I felt that way. Honestly, I felt that way about Nate Robinson too, and I feel like obviously he's not the same level star, but I remember when that happened, and sitting here we're like, yo, so many teams need a veteran point guard who has proven playoff metal, who could score, come off the bench, and get buckets. Yet this man can't get a job, even with Jeremy Lin right now. And I feel the same way, but in Melo specifically, I absolutely agree, and I really like what he was saying in the interview, where he was like, I got all these people talking for me, like. That's why I wanted to come on here and clear some things up. And I think it's kind of sad that like a player with his resume had to do something like that.
And I mean, don't you think it's kind of crazy that, I mean, I think it was yesterday, Vince Carter just re-signed with the Hawks. Mm-hmm. And I mean, no disrespect to Vince Carter. I mean, he's a legend. I mean, he's certified Hall of Famer. But if Vince Carter can land a spot, and we all know what his role on that Hawks team is going to be, he's going to be maybe 5 minutes a game, but he's more there to be a locker room guy. Melo can't get a spot with like a Chicago Bulls team, a Cleveland Cavaliers team, a team that needs a veteran presence, but he could also contribute off the bench. I mean, no question about it.
Okay, so basically what the stats is saying is that like if he averages like 10.8 points for like the next 2 seasons, he'll be within like top 10 scoring ever, like for all the league. And I mean, Melo has been a bona fide scorer throughout his entire career. That's been his thing. For as much as people criticizing him for not being a passer, not being a leader, not being this, it's like that he does what he does best, and you can't be mad at a player for that. And JT, I think you bringing up Vince Carter brings up a great point, because one of the things that Melo said, like this was literally at the end of the interview, he said Stephen A. asked him if he could bring one thing to a team, what would it be? And his response was leadership. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of growth from somebody like Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Also, I will say about the Vince Carter thing, I think that's a different situation. And just in the sense that, one, he redefined his role. He was able to accept not being a star anymore and change that earlier on. To like Melo doing it would have been as soon as he got traded, or even before. No, I would say as soon, because the Knicks are trash. But also. Right. Vince, I don't think Vince was trying to go with the Hawks again. He really wanted to play, and I feel like the only reason he ended up with the Hawks again is because he was there last year and they loved him. I feel like if he was on another team, I don't know if he would have a job this season. And I think that would be messed up too. I mean, the difference is he's 40 plus years old and Melo is not. Yeah, I think that Vince situation is a bit different. But yeah, I agree. Yeah. Like Melo is someone that I do think that can add to a team, and I feel like last year was humbling. And I feel like there's the same conversation that's been going on since last year, that he should be on a roster. But at the same time, like last year, it was kind of like, yeah, you want to contend. But I feel like now the fact that he's okay being like, you know what, if I don't ever win a ring, it's okay. Do I want to play for a ring? Yes. But right now, like for me, it's about giving back to the game. And I think that's dope.
Well, like he said, his legacy, what he feel like would be, is giving back what he learned versus what he earned. And that just ties in with the whole leadership aspect of it. But one thing that he said that I really didn't like was that he said that he's never been surrounded with the talent that, LeBron or D Wade has been around. But You think about that 2013 Knicks team, and I'm a diehard Knicks fan, so I remember some of this stuff. The roster included the likes of Tyson Chandler, who at the time was, a perennial like defensive guy.
He won a defensive player on the Knicks, right?
Well, yeah, right. I was about to say he won Defensive Player of the Year on the Knicks because he was there. Was a 6-man. Also, JR was another 6-man. Amari, he was kind of hurt. And it was after that, it was just a lot of role players, but I don't want to say that, I think that team underachieved that year. I think that team was good enough to have made it to at least the Eastern Conference Finals. And, the Heat were still the Heat at that time. So I wouldn't have saw them winning. But, that team with an old Jason Kidd, an old Kenyon Martin,
but still, Raymond Felton. It was put together like the Mavs 2011 team.
Well, yeah, right. You have a whole bunch of role players. You have your centerpiece in. For the majority of Melo's career, at least on the Knicks, he did not have a stellar squad. He was not surrounded by great talent.
James Dolan effect? No, the blue and orange effect.
That definitely has a role in it, but I don't know. I just personally didn't like what he said about not having talent around all the time because for even a short period of his career, he definitely did. It's funny because Chauncey Billups, right? So he played with him on the Knicks and he played with him on the Nuggets, and I don't know if you guys, not referring to y'all, talking about the audience, have seen like the Chauncey Billups interview when he said that Melo cares more about scoring 30 than he does about winning games. What's y'all opinion on that?
In the interview, it sounded like Melo was on the defensive about it because he's like, oh, I think he's more so talking about my Denver Nuggets days as opposed to my Knicks days. And, that could be a possibility. I mean, he did say in the podcast or the interview with Stephen A., oh, that was me. Like my mentality back then, I was a 23, 24-year-old kid. I'm trying to eat, like I'm going to go out there. I'm trying to drop buckets, do all this, that, and the third. And if we lose, I'm there to pick my teammates up, and I thought what Chauncey said is something that could be said about maybe a lot of guys in the league. Like, not to go off on a tangent, but maybe like a Russell Westbrook, maybe like Russ averages a triple-double. A loss and a win is viewed differently as like when you have your own personal accomplishments within the game.
And he was like, my trying to eat mentality. And as a youth, he needed to change that. And like I feel like coming up, especially during that time, and that mentality affected other parts of his career. But I think in regards to that part of the interview specifically, yeah, bro, like Chauncey was pretty much his vet, and it's like, dude, time and place. Like that was definitely not the right time to bring that up.
And Chauncey's a veteran. Like he's somebody that has won a championship and is regarded as one of the like best players that's ever played in the NBA. You got to have more class than that. I think. I don't think you can just outright not defend, but denounce somebody that you play with and basically just saying that they care about scoring. But like I said earlier, Melo, him putting himself in the position, his team in a position to win, rather, is by scoring baskets. That's what he does. Like LeBron is more of a point forward. That's what he does for his team to win. James Harden, in order for his team to win, he might have to shoot 30%, but get 60 points.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, well, hey, but at the end of the day, Knicks fans weren't complaining when Melo was out there.
He played his heart out even when they were garbage.
Man, and that's why I always have respect for Melo. Like Melo wasn't one of my favorite players before he got to the Knicks, but he damn sure was after because he accepted a challenge that nobody else wanted to take.
No one else still doesn't.
KD said, "Oh yeah," KD even said he don't want to come to New York because he don't want to go by himself. Like what? I mean, I get it. It's the Knicks.
He wouldn't have been by himself if James Dolan had forced that trade. But yeah, I mean, I think it's I think another thing, and a lot of that went into that small part too. That was that 5-year contract. It was being set on going to Chicago, and then things falling apart. And I didn't even know, but when Stephen A was talking about him taking that 5-year deal, when they were like, "Yo, take the three," and he's just like, "Yeah, like I'm from the hood, like I'm from the mud. I'm not trying to leave this money out there on the table." And I get that, and like I feel like being able to talk about that is huge growth because for him to be like, yeah, like if I knew more about the business, if I wasn't just some punk kid, like I definitely would have took that 5-year deal.
I thought it was really interesting him talking about the mentality of that contract, and then with the lockout that happened, and him kind of figuring out and understanding the business aspect of the NBA, and like and he was saying like, oh man, like guys aren't going to be here, knowing that guys weren't going to be re-signed at the end of the year. Like, oh, I know management is going to trade him, at the trade deadline, but him having to stay quiet about it. Those things that he didn't, realize when he was in the first, second, third year of his contracts. But, as he progressed through the league, it was like, man, this is, it's a cutthroat league. It's really a business. It's not a family. It's really a business.
My problem with it, not even a problem, but in other leagues like the NFL, athletes, they can't afford to leave money on the table. Melo did what 99% of athletes would have did. And he took the money. Like, he took that contract extension in Denver, which, ended up him getting traded. And then even when the Knicks had re-signed him, he had an opportunity to go to the Bulls, but he took more money staying with the Knicks.
He said that wasn't the reason, though. He said that in the interview, yeah.
What he said was that he believed what they was that like in their vision and what they thought was gonna happen.
Yeah, he did believe in the Knicks, which is just shows how much he cared, and I like that too. Where he was like, no, I don't want to leave the Knicks. I got forced out. He drank the Kool-Aid and was all in. And the last thing I do want to talk about the Melo thing is how like you were saying in the beginning about him being blackballed, where he was literally like, the media has given other teams, other GMs this idea of him that even when he's on the team, like he's literally like, yo, like no one's telling me these things. Do you want me to come off the bench? Come say it to my face. Like, I'm there. Come talk to me. But it's like, and he's literally like, it's because I'm not in the media. Like, I don't go out. I don't do that. And so that's the only idea they have. And they're too afraid to come up to me. But like, why would you? And Stephen A was like, oh, so if they told you to come off the bench, you would have been fine with it? But he was like, I'm about winning. Would I have thrown a fit about it? Yeah, I probably would have been tight. But then I would sat down, looked at it, and been like, if this is what the team needs, this is putting us in our best situation to win. I'm with it. And I feel like any player of that caliber would be like that. I mean, the one exception is AI. You know what I mean? Like, where he was like, playing me for my spot, like shit like that. Like,
right.
My thing is, I feel like he's just getting such a bad rap where it's literally like you got the media writing the narrative for him in regards to other GMs. Like, bro, the Rockets did him dirty, whether James Harden or Chris Paul knew it or not. Like, for Daryl Morey to just do that, and like the way he, we're hearing Melo say he did it, like that's so disrespectful. And I hope more people don't want to go to Houston because of that. I feel like it looks so bad on an organization. I think that's one thing that sets LeBron apart. And I know in another podcast list too, shout out to Flagrant 2, they talk about that a lot too, where it's like LeBron controls the narrative about him. And I feel like more stars, especially higher level stars, definitely need to do that so that a situation like Melo doesn't happen to someone else.
So before we go into the next topic, like, where do y'all think Melo should even belong in the league? Like, what teams do you think he would fit on?
Next to LeBron, getting in a roster spot right before the playoffs. I think if the Lakers made the playoffs last year, that's what would have happened.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, I can see that. If Melo and LeBron played together in Los Angeles, I think he would be more willing to accept a role behind LeBron because I think he's aware of the caliber of player that LeBron
and LeBron's
is.
A distributor.
Well, yeah, right, exactly. LeBron will make sure that Melo get his buckets, but he'll also make sure that the team he'll put his team in the best position to win.